What is up, everyone? Ryan Wayne here, and today I will be commentating our round 2 for our VGC Premier game. Now, up on the screen we have Shane Gaffney and Oscar Hernandez. I got to buy this round, so I figured why not commentate and give you guys the play-by-play. And yes, here we are, right in here, and we will be following Shane's team. On Shane, we have the Qianpao, Ogrepon Hearthflame Mask, the Amoonguss, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Dragonite, and King Gambit. And for Oscar's team, we have the Blood Moon Ursaluna, the Iron Hands, Ogrepon, the Wellspring version, Dusclops, Heatran, and Landorus Terrian form. Now, coming up against this is their 1-1 apiece. And now, looking at each other's team, obviously Oscar's very slow. You have that Dusclops on there. Probably going to try and get Trick Room as soon as possible. And while you have a lot of priority on Shane's team, so that might be his strategy. I can see him bring in the Amoonguss here. Now, usually you don't want to get your opponent's Amoonguss in Trick Room because then it can put things to sleep and would not really appreciate that. So we see that he is selecting for a slower team in the beginning, maybe to offset him trying to do that Trick Room. Let's see, other interesting thing. So his Qianpao, aka Cinnamon, is running the Life Orb. So, you know, going to be doing a lot of damage, but the wrong hit could knock it out pretty fast. So, yep, going for the Heart Flame. And is he going to choose the Qianpao? Yes, he is, and we are locked in. Are we? There we are. Okay, so first match of this game of 3 in round 2, Premier Challenge. Let's go. Let in suspense. Oh, there we are. All right. Now we got Shane versus Oscar. Here we go. Now Oscar puts out his Ogrepon and Dusclops, and he responds with the King Gambit and Amoonguss. Now, probably what's going to happen on Oscar's end, probably to follow me and then get that Trick Room up. So he could use this. Now, what is Shane going to do? He is going to Sword Dance his King Gambit, and depends on what he wants to do for the Amoonguss. Probably Rage Powder. Okay, so a follow me for a follow me, essentially. One great thing about the follow me is that it is not, you know, Rage Powder cannot be swayed by fellow grass types. So both of them are having a similar strategy in the beginning. Now, King Gambit is going to raise its attack, because why not? And so the Trick Room is off, and now the dimensions have been twisted. Now, with the speed tiers and everything, this Ogrepon will be the slowest thing on the field, most likely. Now, if we look at the Dusclops, it could go for a burn right here, or try and Brick Break. It's up to Shane to decide whether or not it is the right time to terrestrialize his King Gambit. He is not. He is going for the Rage Powder, so that Dusclops, whatever is going into it, will go into the Amoonguss, and the Follow Me is going to Ogrepon. A lot of redirection here. Looks like King Gambit and Dusclops are the two ones fighting it out, while, you know, Amoonguss, Oscar's Ogrepon offering the redirection. We have the Will-O-Wisp going to the Amoonguss, and the Kowtow Cleave erasing the Ogrepon. Alright, now Shane has knocked out the first Pokemon of this match, leaving that Dusclops vulnerable to any Dark-type attack. Now, Oscar could terrestrialize into his Dark-type on his Dusclops, but is that the most beneficial thing for him? He goes into the Heatran. Now, on the King Gambit, it only knows Dark-type moves, which is beneficial. However, on the Heatran over here, it is grass, and is not running the fairy type like we're accustomed to seeing it nowadays, but grass still has its uses. If he tears into that, it can't be redirected by the Amoonguss. Basically, it's like, in Oscar's head, it's, what do I use here? How am I going to use this Terra, and how is it going to affect things long term? Because he is now down to 3, while honestly, on Shane's side, he has a full health King Gambit. He has the Amoonguss, which is burned, which does nothing to it really except a little chip. And we're going to see the Terrestrialization onto the King Gambit. And now we have the Dragon Gambit. So that means going to be resisting that Heat Wave if it comes. Or if the Terra Blast goes in, which makes too much sense, but resists as well. So Earth Power is the only thing that can really hit this King Gambit for any mild damage. Alright, so we will see the Grass Terra on here. So no redirection coming that way. We see that Amoonguss using that Rage Powder once again. He is here to soak up the hits, and these Will-O-Wisps keep going into this Amoonguss. Now the King Gambit kowtow cleaves and erases that Heatran. His Terra is gone. And now Oscar is going to be fighting this game with his final 2 Pokemon. So, who did he choose for this final slot? I'm going to guess Ursaluna Bloodroom. Yep, it is correct. And here it is. Now, you see it does have the weakness policy. It has Hyper Voice. This weakness policy, unfortunately for him, will not be activated. Like I said, King Gambit only has the dark type moves. Alright, Shane has locked in. Oscar is still considering his choice. He wants to be able to turn this match around. He has the power to do so, just really thinking on what is the best way to go about it. His Dusclops really only has Will-O-Wisp, Brick Break, Pain Split, and Trick Room. Pain Split, not going to do too much. Brick Break, going to be very minimal damage, because right now, all Oscar knows that this Amoonguss keeps going for the Rage Powder. But now we're going to see the King Gambit protect, and we're going to see the Will-O-Wisp fail to go into that slot once more, and the Amoonguss is going to spore into this Ursaluna. It will take its mandatory turn of sleep. I think this is when you attack it, because there's no more redirection. And this Ursaluna does have Protect, but will it be able to wake up next turn is the big question. So I can see him, yep, blocking in to the... He's going to go for the Ursaluna, and he's going to Rage Powder once more, making sure we re-protect those Will-O-Wisps, that Brick Break, or that Pain Split, none of which is going to really do too much. Rage Powder goes off, and let's see what the Dusclops goes for. The Will-O-Wisp again. Unfortunately, it's just not connecting. He has run out of options, but the Blood Moon! Ursaluna wakes up and uses that Blood Moon. We get a critical hit. Now he is back in this game. He is raring to go. Swings back. And now, will he survive this kowtow cleave? He lived just by the skin of his teeth, and the dimensions switch back to normal. Now, Shane is going to select his Chien Pao, which means physical moves are going to do a lot more damage. Now, this Dusclops could go for a Brick Break, could try and Trick Room and let the Ursaluna get speed advantage once more, but it is looking very bleak for Oscar in this one. Gotta be wondering if he's going to think about that day too. He is trying to protect. Ice Spinner does not go off. And let's see, did he go into the kowtow cleave, into the Dusclops? He did. Will this be enough? And it is. So it is this Blood Moon Ursaluna versus the world. And this world consists of a Chien Pao and King Gambit full health. It is looking pretty bleak for Oscar here. And this pretty much wraps up game 1 in favor of Shane. The battle has been canceled. Really tough to say. Where does he go from here? I think, personally, he needs to bring in his Iron Hands. And the Iron Hands on his side, you know, as your standard Fake Out, Heavy Slam, Drain Punch, and it does run the Volt Switch here instead of the Wild Charge. So he could bring that in first, maybe assess the situation. If it's beneficial, he could either Volt Switch out, that, yes. But, you know, him charging out with that Amoonguss redirected so many of the attacks, he needs to find an answer for that very, very fast. And it is up to Oscar to try and figure that out with his team. Start off with a Heatran, maybe? You know, he did go for this and that's the tricky thing about doing Trick Room in front of a trainer that has a Mungus, because it can do the Spore into whatever is slower than it, and if it's not a grass type or has an ability that nullifies that, it will be in big trouble. Now we can see that he is debating on, Shane is debating on what his last Pokemon will be. He's going for the same lead. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. I think this is Oscar's, what he has to figure out right now is how do you get that starting combo. If he can find the right combination of his Pokemon, he may be able to pull through, but only time will tell. Oscar is really looking at his team, looking at Shane's, trying to figure out the best way to go about it. Is Trick Room as beneficial as it was in maybe one of his previous matches? Maybe not. Maybe he's going to pivot away from that. Looking at Shane's team, it does have a lot of priority moves on it, as well as a lot of Pokemon that go fast. And I'm assuming that was his original idea going in with the Trick Room team. But with that King Gambit, when it has priority, when it has Kowtow Cleave, and the redirection from the Amoonguss, it's tough. Alright, he has locked in. Oscar has locked in, and we would be going into this match 2, in round 2. Alright, both the trainer cards have appeared. Let's get on to this battle. Alright, we see an Ogerpon Landorus here, and then we see the King Gambit Amoonguss. Now, that Intimidate is going to activate the Defiant on this King Gambit. Now, he doesn't have the Swords Dance here if he so chooses. Now, what is on this Landorus? It does have Rock Slide, Stomping Tantrum, Taunt, and U-Turn. And it is a Citrus Berry, so it is not going to be locked into any moves. So this could work if he is able to taunt into the Amoonguss, catch it right. He doesn't have to worry about it, at least for 1 or 2 turns, in case Shane tries to switch it out. But we're going to see a Terrassalization. He's going to go into that Dragon type. There is not too much offensively that is super effective damage right now on the field from Oscar's side, but maybe something in the back might be able to. We're going to see the Ogerpon follow me once more. Center of attention. We're going to see the Rage Powder. Now we're going to see Landorus, and we're going to see the King Gambit, the damage. But Landorus goes for the taunt. Well, now here this Amoonguss is, it cannot go for anything next turn except for a. We're going to see a Sword Stance on the King Gambit. Very nice. Now it is at +3. Yes. All right, so it is going to go into Kowtow Cleave right there, and it's going to Pollen Puff. It's considering Pollen Puff. He's considering staying in, Pollen Puffing the King Gambit. Now, how is Oscar going to respond? I'd say pretty successful turn on Oscar, where you taunt the thing that was giving you the most problem in round 1. Oscar is really thinking about what's the best course of attack. He's going to have to follow me, go into the Ogerpon. This Kowtow Cleave is going to eliminate it. The U-turn goes in the King Gambit. He's going to bring something else in for this attack. Deciding. Probably wants to conserve that Intimidate for maybe a Pokemon in Shane's back. Alright, we see the Dusclops come back out. Tiny. Right. Doing a job. Risking Kowtow Cleave will go into the Ogerpon. And this, this Pollen Puff isn't really going to be doing too much because the King Gambit has not received too much damage. So, yep, all it does is restore it fully back to health, mitigating the damage that you turned in. So Oscar has positioned himself to bring out the Ursaluna. Very good. So I'm guessing what he's going to probably do is protect here, maybe Terra the Dusclops. So that way it resists this move. And then what is he going to do here? Go for the Grass Knot into the Ursaluna. That might do some great damage. Now, Oscar does have to worry about, you know, making the Amoonguss, because eventually that taunt will wear off. And once it does, it is free to go into you know, that spore into whether any Pokemon. He is going to return it. And in comes the Chien-Pao. He wants to do massive damage into this Dusclops. He has to. I mean, with this Sword of Ruins, with the Kowtow Cleave, is it going to go in? It erases. Was not Terra'd. Does it live with the Terra? I don't know. King Gambit, plus Sword of Ruin, all those, you know, attack boosts. Then King Gambit is now taken out by the Blood Moon. It survived on 53. Alright, in comes the Landorus. It's going to hit. Now this King Gambit is going to be at +4. It's not looking too great. Now, I will say that on the King Gambit side, it could go for the... Or it could... Yep, that's what he's going to go in. And he's going to bring out this Amoonguss. Now, will Oscar call this switch and taunt into the Chien-Pao? It is a scheme. But if Oscar is able to have that awareness and be able to outwit his opponent, perhaps he can find a leg up in this game and try and swing the momentum back in his favor. Only time will tell. Oscar is really considering his moves here. Alright, so the Chien-Pao is going to go into the Amoonguss as we saw, and the King Gambit will protect here. There we go. And we are going to see the Terra. It's either going to be a water or normal. I can see it going into... Oh, it is going into Landorus. It's going to be Terra Water here. Not the most common type we do see on Landorus variant, but there's a method. There's a method. He has a strategy. He did the captains. Alright, we do see a double protect. We see one on the King Gambit. We see one on Ursaluna. We're going to see a Rock Slide. Probably going to hope for those flinches. Help out. It does chip damage to the Amoonguss, but now that it has spread moves, doesn't have to worry about it being moved away from the Rage Powder. So there is, there is always the chance of a flinch. Now, it is going to Rage Powder, so whatever the Ursaluna goes into, but Ursaluna also has Hyper Voice, so he can do the spread move. He is going to go for that double protect. The Rage Powder is activated. And what does Landorus go for? The King Gambit does not. You can't use Sucker Punch as a result. And the Rock Slide goes in, and yep, still not up. That is a critical hit on the Amoonguss, but still, it does not go down to half health. And to top it all off, it still has its Citrus Berry that hasn't been activated yet. A very uphill battle for Oscar, but he was able to at least stall a Sucker Punch. The King Gambit wasn't allowed to attack. No damage went from Shane's side onto Oscar's side. So, is he going to do that again? Is Oscar going to go for the Protect again, hoping that he tries to do Kowtow Cleave? Let's see. Now, Ursaluna does go for the Protect. It is successful this time. And then we see a Sucker Punch not activate once more. And then we see the Rock Slide happen. Does it take out the King Gambit? It does. And it brings the Amoonguss down to half. Now that Citrus Berry will be activated. One less item for Oscar to worry about. Now, you have an Amoonguss that is pretty much back where it started at the round. The Spore goes into this Landorus, and because there is no choice on it, it is very, very likely that whatever he chooses, whatever Shane chooses, outspeeds it. No matter what, it's going to get at least one move off because there is no redirection on the Oscar side, and it's a mandatory turn of sleep. Regardless, there is no protect on this Landorus, so it looks like that he's going to go into the Horn Leech, into this Landorus slot, and then go for the Spore on the, on the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Horn Leech goes in, and it does a little over half, and then it activates the berry. Now, the question is, if he goes for the Horn Leech again, can it survive? Because the Landorus is still asleep. If it wakes up, is there a chance that it knocks out? Because, no, here comes the Hyper Voice. Almost brings it down to half. Now the Ursaluna is asleep. It is nap time on Oscar's side. And, someone get an alarm clock for him because this Landorus needs to wake up in order to get some damage. Now, he's going to go into this Chien Pao here, so whether or not, you know, the damage roll is going to be better in Shane's favor when it comes to this Horn Leech, with that sort of ruin, it's going to do extra damage to the Landorus. Yep, erased. And now all that's left is a sleepy Blood Moon Ursa Loop. And the Terra is gone. So, you know, basically this Chien Pao, I spin her into it. This Heartflame Ogre Pond, Horn Leech. It has 2 super effective moves. Sword of Ruin is against it, and the battle was canceled. Still, Oscar never giving up, trying to find a way. You know, both trainers did a very good job here. Congratulations to both. And that is our round 2. All right, so because we have 13 contestants today, we are only going to have 4 rounds before we have Top Cut, and Top Cut will be 4 players. So stick around for that. I might be back to, hopefully I'm not back here. In the sense, if I don't make Top Cut, I probably will ask to be back here and commentate so I can give you guys a play-by-play. Maybe I'll have a buddy with me, fill out this empty chair at this empty table. And if you get that reference, kudos to you. But yeah, we'll be back for more VGC after this short break. Peace.